In this second session, I have quite a bit of work to do, because last time I felt all good about myself. I had this sort of painfulness, whatever. Then I sit down and I see that there's a bunch of mistakes that I need to correct. So in this session, I'll be focusing more or less solely on correcting the eye socket, and then using that as a vantage point to establish all the other forms, so that it's a bit of a sort of dry way of working. But I need to have, especially with watercolor, I need to have the structure well placed, so that I can start to play around with this, glazing and creating spatial depth, and being painterly when I know that I have the structure properly. So I'll start with the eye socket, try to establish the horns and the rest of the different part of the skeleton, and that's the main topic for today. What I'm going to do this time, is to only focus on drawing. First off, I saw that this needs to get darker, so I want to push that back. I will not work on the background at all. There's plenty of mistakes to correct now, and first of them has to do with the eye, which I've made way too big. So I'll try to only dig, and we'll see how that turns out. So it's way too big. It needs to, let's see here, it's too wide here. So if I go in here, I believe that is at least much more correct. And you see, I can just dig and push, right? I can dig, I can make the color wet again and push it around. And what I'm trying to be aware of here is that I have to be really sort of anal about not mixing the different areas, because now this is wet and this is wet, so I don't want them to meet, because then everything just blurs together. And the point here now is to get clarity. I've tried to be painterly, not to be afraid of painting in the first session. Now it's payback time, or what do you want to call it, where I have to add or try to clarify the form, sort of bring in more Andrew Wyeth in the whole thing here. So I'll try to just work in that layer. See, I'm digging just to remove paint, and I see that this distance, it's way too long. So if I do, you don't have to really dig, you can just go quickly back and forth, and then, well, that's the digging. So of course you know that it takes a bit of time for this to dry, and then it will appear somewhat different than it is now. And I know that I need to go darker in any case. So this is the stage where a lot of things are sort of messy, mixed too much together, and I'm losing that painterliness, but I'm trying to establish the form. So let's see here now. Just look at it's like a square. Okay, it's a weird kind of square, this eye socket is the word here. So I'm being really careful about trying to establish the correct line. So because I have the totality, and that's when you turn on your tunnel vision. So let's see, go down here, and I'll I'll expand from here. So this is what I like to call a anchor point. When you have that first unfinished totality, you see all the errors you've made, then it's time to establish one place where things are working properly as they should. You know, the proportions of this eye. I know this whole eye needs to get a bit darker. Now this is where I need to be careful. I'm having the paper fairly flat, which of course is a slight disadvantage in the sense that I have a slight angle at the paper, but of course I have the general idea working for me, so I think that'll work out. Okay, so this needs to dry a bit now, and you see how loose it is, even though I'm trying to tighten it. So this is like the first move. Now what I'm looking at now is that I know that all these things around are really unclear. So I looked at it first. I saw that okay, this part here is sort of the anchor point of establishing the whole socket, the length and the width of the socket. So I used that also to establish this part here, which probably has some Latin name. Because if I do that, I don't know if that, I should go in with some darker behind it, I guess. I have to remember my own commandment here, always go darker is generally the idea. So if I go in here, and as I said, I can leave, in the previous session, I can leave quite clear lines and then just soften them afterwards. Okay, so if I go straight up, I get the other what do you call it? Horn. Anyways, I get this here. Remember the sound effects? You do like that, and then it goes down here. So just establish that one. And this allows me to see more clearly that other things also are correctly placed. So, letting this dry, establish this, I go back to this part here. Now this is still wet here, so I need to be careful. I see, of course, this is a new setup. I'm not painting in the same place as I did. So, but in any case, I do believe I've set it up correctly now. And in that case, I need to, let's see here, socket there already here. Oh, okay. You see, that was not the plan. Okay, I really need to have it lying now. Okay, this was too wet, the whole area. Okay. So this just needs to dry now. I need to move this further in. Now this becomes the new anatomical part I can use here. So okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Now, if we have, okay, now we can go back here because I need to dig some more. If I go, well, I can exploit this, but just use the water that's there already. Now I'm going to pull that color after me. So, okay. And it goes down. Can I establish that more now? I might be able to get, oops. I might be able to get this clearer, because that's a really decisive factor. This line under the eye socket. So just carefully okay, it doesn't have that much an effect now, but and then it goes down here. I can do that. That's right under the eye. Remember, this is also quite thick paper, so it really the color really sits well in this paper. So, okay, good. Now I can start adding a little bit more. Okay, let me just see here now. Yep. You can just look at if there's a reflection, and then you see, of course, if it's wet or not. Now I'm going to exaggerate the eye a little bit so that I can see more clearly where I am, and really be thorough here, because, oh, let me see here now. Wait a minute, it's not too. I think this is okay, more or less okay. Okay, so you have that little shadow going down there, and then you get some darkness here. Okay, the dark color coming up here, and then you get that square. Okay, no, the triangle there. Thank you for checking out this video from the School of Apelles. To watch the full video and access our premium library, go to caveofapelles.com/subscribe and become a $10 patron. That's caveofapelles.com/subscribe.